The end of the story you're about to hear comes 27 years after its tragic beginning. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. On a summer day in 1997, 48-year-old Nancy Adelman, a mother of three, went for a jog near Brays Bayou in Houston, Texas. Unbeknownst to Nancy, she would soon come into contact with 27-year-old Arthur Lee Burton of Bastrop, Louisiana, while on her run. Burton confronted Nancy on her running route, having had no previous interactions, and forced her into the nearby woods where he choked her unconscious before raping her. At some point, Nancy regained consciousness and began to scream. Burton then choked her unconscious for a second time. Preparing to flee the scene, Arthur Lee Burton would see another pedestrian nearby. Burton then returned to Nancy and strangled her with her own shoelaces. Nancy Adelman would die at the scene, and Arthur Lee Burton would flee on foot. 10 days after the brutal murder of Nancy Adelman, Burton would be arrested and initially deny any involvement in the murder. After not being able to provide a viable alibi, Burton would eventually confess to Nancy's murder in a written statement, outlining the events of the murder in some detail. Burton would go on to claim the attack was, quote, something I couldn't help. Burton would later claim his confession was coerced. For his crimes, Arthur Lee Burton would be sentenced to death by a Texas court in 1998. He had no prior prison record. His 1998 death penalty was later vacated by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals while upholding his conviction, opening the door to retrial on punishment. On retrial, Burton was once again sentenced to death. During Burton's incarceration, his attorneys would file numerous appeals to include assertions of violations of constitutional rights, all of which provided no relief to his conviction or sentence. Burton's final appeal to the United States Supreme Court to stay the execution on grounds of intellectual disability was denied within a week of his execution date. After nearly 26 years on death row, 54-year-old Arthur Lee Burton was executed in Huntsville, Texas on August 7, 2024.